first, I didn't like him at all. I didn't. I thought he was like,
just one of those breakups that really, it was like a tough one for me.
That I didn't think much of myself. And so the world didn't think much of me.
Didn't feel okay with it for a minute. You know what I mean? No. Well, at first, no, I just loved it.
100%. Like, I'd never fallen out of love with you. I had just put it over here.
Nothing really special. I was like, it was a bust. She goes, I'll try to pull some more stuff together for the day.
There's always a thing that you don't see coming. And just when you think you've got him, you realize that he's been playing you the whole time.
All right, back by popular demand, we have a PPA evaluation expert, Neil Mason, joining us today. It's an exciting time. We're recording this on election day, so there's a lot of stuff going on. The topic of conversation for tonight is breaking down J-Lo's personality.
It's such a meta story, right?
Taking an inside look at her relationships.
I have decided to tell my story, and I've never shared with anybody in the world.
Looking into the relationship between her and P. Diddy, given that that's a hot topic.
Sean and I were very different that way,
But primarily, we are going to learn about J-Lo and who she is, why she does what she does, based on her birthday. So Neil, welcome back. I'm so excited to hear and learn about J-Lo. What can you share with your infinite wisdom? And let's tell everybody what the day that she was born.
Yeah, J-Lo was born July 24th, 1969. And Carm, always good to be here. So thanks for having me back.
Oh my God. I count the days when we can have conversations like this. And by the way, we are going to be doing more birthday breakdowns as we, continue to grow the show and teach people about, their personality and insights. The thing about birthdays that I didn't know until we had met is that we think our personality is shaped by our environment and things of that nature. And to a degree, that's true. But what I've learned is that there are things about you that you don't even know, sort of out of control, I guess. How would you describe that? How does the day that we're born impact our decision making and our personality? Because you've done this research for many, many years and you've studied thousands of personalities.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I said that I know exactly why things are the way they are.
Sure.
I know how they work. I know each birthday and how the birthdays relate to the people. I'm not really sure why they are the way they are. The best guess I have is similar to animals. Poodles are the same. They look the same. They have the same hair. They have relatively the same temperament. You look at Chihuahuas are the same. Mm-hmm. And then you even look at things like, your different types of avocados are the same, or your different types of apples are the same. So we're humans. Are we really more different than we are similar? And what I found, and again, I don't know why it is what it is, I just know it is that people with the same birthday not only have the same tendencies, not only do they behave the same way, they have the same kind of philosophies and ideas. Although one might be Republican, one might be Democratic, but the way they view politics is the same. They even have the same love languages and the way they want to have sex, the types of ways. So I don't know why it is. I'm still trying to figure out the why. I just know it is, and I help people and couples and people understand themselves.
All right. Well, you've also, and not to point, tell on your end, you've also dated many women on these types of birthdays. So have you dated a woman, not maybe born in her year, but have you dated women born on this day? And what do you look out for if you have?
Well, yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay.
I have. So I'm very intimately aware of this person's birthday and how this birthday is. So it's actually one of my favorites. And you look at the birthdays in clusters, right? So July 24th, 25th, 23rd, it's all around the same cluster.
Okay.
And ironically, Selena Gomez is right in this day as well. And she's dating Benny Blanco, and his birthday is March 8th. Mine is March 9th.
So you and Selena could make that's why you like this birthday
exactly
date, or this cluster of birthdays. And you reminded me, my youngest daughter, her birthday is July 21st. So I'm going to assume there's some personalities and traits that are similar to Jennifer Lopez. So I can't wait for my baby to make $400 million. Let's go.
Well, it's funny you say that.
Oh my God, Selena's a billionaire too. Look at that.
Well, it's funny you say that because these birthdays are very success driven, finance driven, really good with money.
Okay.
but they're really challenged on their personal side. So they make great decisions business-wise, and they surround themselves with good teams. They are they're not self-sufficient. They're dependent. They're very dependent on the other people, whether it's personal or business. So you put the right team around J-Lo or Selena, they're going to crush it. But in their personal life, they're very dependent as well. So that's why if they get attached to the wrong man, a la P. Diddy, a la Ben Affleck, then it's really hard for them to leave. And us from the outside say, why don't you leave? And in their mind, they're looking at it like they're just drawn. And it's hard. Once they commit, they're all in.
Right. So you talked about the success. What is it about? And it's interesting because you're looking literally at two women that are multimillionaires. They're also talented. Is it strange that Selena's what is their talent typically drawn to music, or could they be great artists and painters or dancers? Like, these are multifaceted women. They both dance, they both act, they both sing, they both, like, how strange is that? Or is it?
Well, I've correlated birthdays with different senses, and these people are very romantic and very sensual. And a lot of times romance connects to dance, connects to music, connects to singing. So there's that nature where they're just very connected to their senses. They love to hold hands. They love to be kissed softly. They love the romance. They're very charismatic, magnetic energy. So that's part of just their makeup, right?
Okay.
And Giselle Bündchen's right around there as well. She's, I think, July 19th or 20th, and she's having a baby now. So these are just very capable, highly romantic, highly magnetic people. Very passionate, very believe deeply. And not all people are like that, right? People with my birthday are a little bit more detached, a little bit more cold, a little bit more reserved. That's why it's a really good match.
Okay. Well, looking at Jennifer Lopez's relationship history, she was previously married to Ojana Noah, 97 to 98, Chris Judd, 2001, 2003, Mark Anthony, who she had babies with, Alex Rodriguez, but they were engaged, Ben Affleck twice, the first time, and then the second time, they almost got married. She is like a fan of love. Does this birthday, when you say they have trouble in relationships, can you talk a little bit about why it is that they struggle in relationships? And are they typically monogamous? Because someone who is dating, it seems like she's dating for marriage. Like, she is wanting to get married and wants to get married. And what, like, is that the case?
And I don't like throwing words around like this, but it is what it is with the birthdays. They're love addicts. So they're addicted to love. Now, some people with this birthday, mostly men, are addicted to drugs or addicted to sex.
Okay.
These birthdays are addicted to love. So I call it the chimpanzee effect. They won't let go of one man until they're ready to go to the next man. So you'll rarely see, if you look at J-Lo's marriage history or dating history, very rarely is she fundamentally just by herself. And even with Giselle broke up with Tom, and they divorced. Immediately she's got the trainer. So these people love the idea of love, and they're addicted to the idea of love. They need to actually be in love. So when you're consistently having to be in love, you're now making decisions based on your heart, based on your soul, not based on your brain. You're going to get into toxic relationships. And I warn clients on this birthday all the time. Be careful when you have sex with a man on this, like if you have this birthday. So if you're July 23rd, 24th, right in that range, be very careful, because once you have sex, you get connected. And then be careful who you commit to, because it's hard to get out of these relationships, because they would rather be in, and this sounds bad to say, but they're more comfortable being in a bad relationship than leaving to be in no relationship, because they take it so serious and they internalize it. These are great people, good-hearted people, and they blame themselves. They look inward. They're really hard on themselves.
Again, you talked how close Selena's birthday is to J-Lo, and we all watched her toxic relationship with Justin Bieber for 8 years, where she wrote the song about it and learned from that experience. But true to your point, women around that birthday that's overstay or stay longer than they should because they're in love. And mind you, she was young. But that's very interesting. Okay, you lead with positive. Talk more about the positive traits of women Jennifer Lopez in particular, about her birthday.
So very morally courageous. So really fights for causes. And if you heard J-Lo introducing Kamala Harris regarding the whole Puerto Rico thing, regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican, you could see that she was passionate about her people. So they fight for the underdog. They're always looking for what's right. For them, doing the right thing is always the right thing. Very magnetic, very charismatic. They take chances in business and life. Really, really good workers and very spiritual. They're connected to the earth. They're connected to nature. These are people that lead with their heart, and they have a really, really big heart.
Well, I don't know if I watched the special on Jennifer Lopez on I think it was Netflix. She's done a number of documentaries, her preparation for the Super Bowl. And during that Super Bowl preparation, it was so important for her to have Latina representation. And on the ground, there were these lit up cages filled with children that, to your point, really supported, the message and the cause that she wanted to create for inclusivity and for Latina, women, Latinas in general. So that's interesting, that's the case. What else can you share with us about her birthday, maybe that would be concerning, or that if you had Jennifer Lopez to coach, what things would you share with her that maybe she doesn't know?
Well, the first things I would share, and I would cross off the list, is addiction. And addiction comes in many forms. Now, addiction is drugs, alcohol, okay? Substances, mind-altering substances, pills.
She's a workaholic. Like she's literally a workaholic. That's an addiction, right?
Well, yeah, and so now you get in, she's a workaholic, but also addiction also comes in love addiction, sex addiction. So sex addiction is huge because a lot of the times these people are so magnetic, they're so charismatic, and they're beautiful. People at this birthday are gorgeous. It's just, my research has told me that people on the same birthday look very similar, very gorgeous. But there's also food addiction. So with food addiction you might look at J-Lo and go, she doesn't have a food addiction. She's got a perfect body. She does, but she works day because in her mind, there's that association with food. She's very careful. So she might be compulsively working out. So I'd move from addiction, and then also shopping, how they look. How they look is really important.
So aesthetics, she is like, and not in a bad way, a diva, but I don't think aside from her documentary, you don't catch a lot of bad photos of J-Lo. She is just on point from head to toe to scent. Everything about her looks like, $100 million. She looks amazing.
Yeah. Well, but that's that birthday. They're very conscious of how they look. Image is really important to them. And again, going back to addiction, one of the things too, and you hate to throw this around, is she actually may suffer from being manic depressive or bipolar. Okay. So there's literally two people inside of her, but they're both coming from a good place. They just battle themselves, and they battle. Now, we talked about P. Diddy before being an escapist, where he has that dark side to him. Justin Bieber also is an escapist and has a dark side to him. She has two sides to her, but they're both coming from a place of either great, high, or depressed and anxiety. And yeah.
So can we talk about the chemistry or the compatibility between P. Diddy and J-Lo? Do you recall that moment? I mean, you and I don't want to date ourselves, but I was born in the era, like when I was dancing to Jennifer Lopez's stuff, I was younger. Okay. We're close. We're very, very close in age. So were they attracted to each other? Is his birthday and her birthday a good match? Can you talk about that?
It's before we talk about if it's a good match, I always look to, is it a toxic match?
Okay.
That's where I start. And what I mean by that is, we talked about J-Lo has the addiction issues. She has possibly drugs, alcohol, sex, love. Then we're also looking at power, because she's a workaholic. She wants to achieve financial gain. And then you look at someone like Diddy, he's like the devil on her shoulder. And once they connected, even though she might intellectually or logically know it wasn't a good match, the chemicals burned hot there and it made sense. So he might have brought out the worst in her and she couldn't leave.
So this is when we talk about passion and lust, or, a lot of matchmakers and date coaches would say when things are hot and they're red hot, those are the kind of relationships you want to run from, right? Because so there would have been heavy passion or an organic or natural passion in the bedroom between these two. Let's try to keep it as PG as possible, but there would have been compatibility there.
Yeah, you would. Well, also, listen, sex is different. Passion, it's different, because do I think that there was a lot of love making and a lot of, I don't know, but I suspect there was a lot of excitement, adventure, but the thing with JLo is she's fundamentally romantic, but she's also exciting. So she's being pulled, right?
Yeah, I recall an interview. I recall an interview where she was saying that initially she wasn't sure that P. Diddy was a great match for her because she was so family oriented, and he seemed to lean towards that, bachelor lifestyle, or the lifestyle that is still enjoying and partying and throwing those massive white parties, not necessarily the family man raising kids, right?
Exactly. Well, and that's where I think JLo's conflicted.
Right.
Because when you see the pictures with her and Ben, you just look in her eyes and you can tell she's not happy, but she doesn't want to leave, but she just wants to stay, but this personality is, one of their negative traits is they're always stressed. So it doesn't matter how good things are for JLo, she'll find something to stress out about. Or she'll constantly put herself in a situation where she's gonna be stressing, right? So, and that's just on one hand, super powerful, positive, role model, wealthy. On the other hand, tortured.
When you are talking to women, again, we're talking about JLo here. How can someone like JLo avoid or repair or work on these, addictions or these things that, according to, science and research and what you've discovered, is inherently a behavior that she has? So what can someone do then?
Well, the first thing is there's got to be an impetus to change or to want to work on this stuff.
Right. Okay.
And with this birthday, from a really young age, they've experienced trauma, either some sort of trauma, bullying, harassment, sexual harassment, abuse. So normally these women have been in therapy, they've been, if you will, they understand that they need to work on themselves because they're really hard on themselves. So assuming that she wants my help, okay, I'd say, listen, let's kind of prioritize, health, wealth, love, happiness, right? Because my saying is you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. So you want to have a good marriage, great. You want to make money, great. You want to work out, great. But then is your mental health going to be good? Right. So you got health, wealth, love, happiness. You can't have them all at once firing. We're not humans. So it's a matter of, so for her, we know the career is always firing. That's good, but it also means the chance of mental health or love suffering is always great because she's never really relegated from being good at work.
Well, do you think that going back to P. Diddy and JLo from the work perspective, like she's a perfectionist to the max, right? I don't know what the personality of Diddy, whether perfectionism is included, but they're both really workaholics to a degree. Is that something that would work for this couple? Is that a point of compatibility, or would that also be a point of rivalry, given that they are both similarly driven and they both are financially motivated?
Well, the difference between JLo and Jennifer, who's someone who lives in New York, or from the block, just Jenny versus JLo. JLo, the brand, has handlers, business managers, agents, partners. So first of all, her relationship with P. Diddy was good for business, right? And so that's number one. So remember, health, wealth, love, happiness. Well, the wealth side is really good for business for her to be with P. Diddy. Okay. Then the excitement side of it, the adventure. Remember, she's the type of person that wants to look up to her man. And if you look at the way that JLo looked at Ben, it was like she looked up to him. Right. So when these women have the type of man like P. Diddy, who's very powerful, very aggressive, very masculine, very dominant, very take charge, they want to be in their feminine. They want to be the follower. There's nothing more than JLo saying, yeah, I'm worth 100 million, but my man's worth 400 million and he can teach me. So that worked. The problem is when you get to love and mental health, it was never good for her mental health.
Okay.
Same with Ben, because Ben, it was never good for her mental health. And the love was toxic. It wasn't sustainable. Whereas, you look at Selena Gomez now she's with Benny Blanco and he's not as exciting, maybe not even as good looking, but she just seems like she's at peace. And there's something to be said about peace.
Yes. Okay. So sometimes having two people too closely associated or too similar, particularly in those ways, could be problematic. I can see that even as a relationship expert. Okay, great. I mean, is there anything else that you would like to cover about J-Lo that we've missed, or that we've talked about her relationships, the money side, some of the addictions, health concerns? What is shared about people born on her birthday that is a health concern?
Well, number one is I just read the weather, right? And I don't make the...
Yeah.
I've studied the birthdays, but it's just the research I found. And so I hope your audience doesn't hold it against me, but the number one health concern for her is sexual obsessiveness.
Okay.
Meaning she's overly sexualized, even from a young age, and she's at risk of men that are going to be sexually abusive.
So that's something to look out for. Okay.
That's number one. And you can see it, right? So maybe that was the attraction. Now that Diddy's going through these freak offs and this, it's coming to the light.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she might have been she might have been the victim to that.
Sure.
In terms of being in that environment. So that would be the number one health thing I think that they need to really look out for. The number two is stress.
Yep.
These people are highly stressed and they don't make decisions quickly. You know, it takes them a long time to get out of a relationship. They get in quickly, they get out slowly, right? So stress, and along with stress is things like sleeping, is things like insomnia.
In her documentary, she did talk about her never feeling good enough. And there was a moment where she credited Ben and she was crying and she's like, he's the only one that really made me feel like I was worth something. So she had admitted, we hear this all the time, like, you know, Robin Williams committed suicide. We have all these, you know, accidental deaths from these celebrities, not on her birthday, that accidentally OD and they suffer from depression. Post Malone, you know, he talked about, I love Post Malone, by the way. We got to do his birthday. I love that guy. Talking about depression. And you think that a lot of people, they're human beings. It was Selena, bipolar, depression, all those things. So it's not always bright.
You just mentioned Robin Williams.
Yes. When's his birthday?
July 21st.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And men and women on the same birthday are similar, but they do have some distinctness between the male and female born on those days, correct?
Well, they do, and for the most part, men have more testosterone and men are a little bit more aggressive.
Sure.
But the thing you brought up the suicide thing a number of times.
Wow.
I didn't bring it up. Bipolar, suicidal thoughts, depression is rampant on this birthday. It's just there.
Okay.
And you know, it's sad, but it's really sad, but it's there. So between that and potentially being victims of sexual assault or sexual abuse, these people I care for the most. They need to be very well taken care of and protected. So if you have someone in your life that's right around these birthdays, keep an eye on them, just communicate with them and be their support, because they need a lot of support.
And if you were born on this birthday, keep an eye on yourself and surround yourself with great people. And you may want to, I mean, not even may, we'll put the links down where you guys can contact Neil and get your own, you know, self-assessment. I've done it. I've done it for all my clients. I've done it for anybody that I was thinking of doing business with, or maybe even dating. I assessed my past relationships, and my goodness, it's been eerily similar, very insightful. So to our audience, we'd love to hear your questions and comments. We absolutely appreciate the support and the viewership. We'll be back for more Daily Break TV breakdowns of celebrity birthdays, couples, and trending news. So, Neil, thanks so much, and we'll see you again.
Take care.